How's it going, everyone? It's another week. It is CCM Live. My name is Marcus. I am so happy to be with you as your host today. We do this thing a couple times a week. We talk with artists and Christian music. We talk with you, and we just get to hang out for a little bit. So it's season 2. Of course, if you're here, you already know we've moved to a later time. Hey, if you're watching this, actually. Good for you, because listen, you're missing the State of the Union and all that stuff, and you can just catch up later. Everybody has their own interpretations. You just pick your favorite and you'll figure it out later. It'll be just fine. Okay. It'll be fine. And so here's what you need to do. You need to hit the share button right now, to maybe pull some other folks out of their misery that they can catch up with the highlights later, and they can hang out. This show, I do a blog 3 times a week, of course, and we talk with artists 2 other times a week through CCM Magazine. You can go to ccmmagazine.com, click that Live with Marcus tab. You can catch up on all the episodes. This is like number 62, something like that. And you guys can watch all of them and see the strange things I'm thinking about, like how bad the Super Bowl halftime show was this year. You can go. You guys are feeling me, right? That was terrible. Like, our guest today could, in their sleep, do a better halftime show than what we saw on Sunday. It's true. Hey, I'm watching your comments. This is, Eric, you're watching both. Look at that. Eric says he is watching both at the same time. Maybe that's good therapy. Maybe you need to text somebody and tell them to do that too. You know, a little light, a little heavy. Just put it together. It's great. If you want to subscribe to our podcast, all these are in audio form. If you go to iTunes, wherever you do podcasts, search for CCM Magazine. All right, that's all I've got to say. We're looking for your comments. See how I've got Eric's right there? So pop those in. We'll be answering your questions as we go. But I am so excited to welcome my guests. We've been talking about doing this for a while. The stars aligned, and they are here. And I first met these guys as a band when they had to drive themselves across the country. They had to, I think they even had to pay to be on tour. Like, it was that new artist thing where they paid their dues, and now they are making some radio hits, and they're crisscrossing the country still, but they don't have to drive themselves, and it's wonderful. And they've got a new music video out called Scars, of course. They've got singles and albums and all these things. It is I Am They. We've got Matt and John and Abby, the 3 singers. Yes.
Oh,
I didn't even rehearse that. That was like all from my heart. It was all from my heart.
Is this live right now?
It is right now. This is basically the State of the Union of I Am They. State of the They. Of the They. Hey, so the way we start this show off, you guys, is I want you, everyone comes in from a different background, a different place, maybe in their house, maybe in some Airbnb or a hotel room. But wherever you are, we want to get to know you by you finding something in your immediate vicinity that tells us a little bit more about you. Matt, we'll start with you since you're in your darkened room. Actually, you need to tell us about what the heck you're wearing.
Well, if you want to just start that way. I'm in a full-size.
What are you wearing?
Full-size onesie, adult shark onesie. I actually don't know if I'm supposed to be the shark or if like my face is being consumed by the shark.
What?
Pure comfort tonight.
I'm gonna have to get your stylist number. We'll have to figure this out, and I would like one. All right.
Just right now, for everybody that's listening, just quiet on the scene.
Okay. Ooh, what a satisfying noise that was.
Did you hear that?
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. John, show us something that tells us a little bit more about you, around you.
The closest thing I got, this little guy right here.
My
camera. Yeah.
Okay. Are you? I couldn't see it. Was that a Canon or a Nikon? I know there's two tribes.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Canon guy. This is a Canon 5D Mark III, all the way. So, nothing too crazy. Just got done doing a little photo shoot. Yeah.
So wait, a photo shoot like of you guys, of other people? What is this, something you do on the side? What is that?
Yeah, I have like a creative company that I do on the side, and so just kind of working on some stuff today. I had some headshots and some other things that I did, just kind of something I do on the side. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Abby, where are you, and what do you have around you?
I'm in my house. I'm in the little front room that I use as a music studio.
Oh,
and I have a new music toy. It's called a theremin.
It looks like a grill or something.
Yes. It's I'll see if I can play it for you. It's made by Moog, who makes synthesizers.
Whoa.
And you play it by moving your hand close to and far away from this little antenna.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, is there a way for you to actually like learn to play it, or is it just, you know what I mean? Like, can you figure out where notes are in space?
You can, yeah. People have come up with little hand gestures that get you like every tiny little chromatic note, but it is tough.
Wow.
It already felt like Brady Bunch up in here, and then you pulled out the theremin. And it felt like a throwback.
It's awesome. Mary, who's watching, says she loves them. I'd never heard of this thing before. Yeah, lots of people are kind of wondering.
All the fun things. We got the harmonium. The theremin.
That's awesome. Logan wants to know where Sarah and Justin are. Listen, they could only fit 4 of us in here, and that's it. And Justin is, Justin and Sarah are just calculating the schemes of. They're the brains. Sorry guys, you guys are, you're the muscle, and they're the brains. And they're.
And I gotta say, if while we got people here, might as well say for Justin, if y'all could be praying for him, he's actually going to go into surgery tomorrow. So he's got a little procedure happening. So if we could all just keep him in our prayers.
Yeah, pray for Justin.
Yeah,
he's awesome. And you guys I feel like you guys have been on the road nonstop since I've met you. I mean, is that a fair assumption? Like, I feel like you guys are constantly touring, many times with some awesome label mates of yours, and just crisscrossing the country. What has life been like for you guys over the past, I don't know, 2 years as far as touring? I mean, is it pretty constant?
Complete chaos.
It's definitely been a winding road. We've been all over the place. I think one of the coolest moments was going out with Crowns last year.
Yeah.
Was pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been nonstop for 2 years at least. It's been pretty, definitely making a lot of memories and grinding, man, for sure.
Yeah.
What about the road? I mean, obviously there's lots of practical reasons for being out on the road, but what, as far as your ministry goes, like what are some of the things that have, from being out there so much, maybe that have impacted you or changed you, things that you have, maybe that have grown you, that you get to, from that grind, from that interaction with people?
Yeah. I'll go, I guess. Man, honestly, I think like obviously internally in the band, you learn so much from just being around each other and kind of growing in that and kind of learning from each other. But I think, like, at least for me, being around so many people all the time and like kind of seeing a world outside of what you're used to, and it kind of makes life a little more real, especially when people come up and say things about like our music or what we said from stage and how that's impacted their lives. I think that's definitely grown me as someone who's been passionate about, you know, ministry and music my whole life. It's been, and I think all of us feel the same way about getting, you know, being able to do what we do. So I think that's for me, you know.
Yeah. Abby, you've been quiet. Meanwhile, lots of people commenting on how much they love you. So
I usually am quiet. Maybe that's why people like me. No, I was just thinking, I saw someone pop on the chat that has been special to us, and it's a family in Indiana whose little son has had some health struggles and has really connected personally with the song Scars. And we've been able to meet up with him and hear his testimony. His name's Lofton. And it's things like that, experiences where you actually get to meet people who are somehow being impacted by the music and feel like they can relate to us through the songs that we're performing. And that's the kind of thing that keeps you going on the road on those days that are kind of tough and long. When you meet someone and you can tell that the music is doing something for them, that's really special.
I love that. And you guys, but the latest material you've released have been covers of Reckless Love and Tremble. And when I met you guys, we got to do a whole bunch of covers. That's something that you guys do well, and you put your own spin on it. What else, if you could do, are there any songs that you guys are, you know, kicking around or that you would love to cover that are still out there? Maybe certain songs that move you. Obviously, those two songs are huge in the church right now, but are there any others maybe not even as well known that you would love to do?
We can't give away too many secrets, but we're working on some pretty throwback esque tunes next week, I think.
All right, some throwback tunes.
Do we spill the beans here to you know,
to the CCM peeps,
the folks on CCM here?
So, I mean, Sarah's watching, so just know.
So we all grew up like as worship leaders and you know, in the church in some regard. And so somewhere along the line, we started kicking around this idea of what if we went back, like back to like the songs that were first kind of being introduced to us when we picked up the guitar, when we started singing, and like songs like Shout to the Lord or, you know, Every Move I Make. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, just some of these old like throwback songs back to our youth group days or whatever it would be, that would, you know, strike a chord. And
yeah. Eric says Shine Jesus Shine. That was his guess.
Ooh. Yeah. It's a great one.
Yeah, you guys could do that.
Yeah, we're thinking
awesome.
Going after some of those.
Man, I mean, yeah, there's a whole generation that's what modern worship was to them, you know.
Abby did a impromptu piano live El Shaddai on Instagram, and it went semi-viral. It was actually pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And nice. Shine Jesus Shine was the first song I ever sang in church. I sang it with my mom. So
wow.
I have to throw that one back on the table, guys. Just saying.
Man, yeah, what was that? Was it Sandy Patty? Amy Grant?
I think Sandy Patty. You have to ask my mom. Patty. Mom, you better.
Yeah, it was one. Somebody watching is going to correct us real fast. It's totally fine. Trial and Triumph is your album that's been out for a year basically now. But to me, it feels like it's still like gaining momentum. I mean, do you guys feel that too? Are you guys surprised, especially with what's happening with Scars?
For sure, yeah. I would just say, I think since, like you said, the record came out in March of last year, and then we got to kind of hit the road like immediately. We went on tour with Casting Crowns, and it was such an awesome, like the momentum off that and kind of the runway, you know, of that into the year has been amazing. But even
the
release of this last single, Stars, to radio, and we haven't really heard, I don't think, any other, or we haven't seen any other song like gain traction the way that song has. And I think it's just a chord in people. And I would say, just like you asked earlier about what's the thing like that has like kept you going, or the thing, you know, over the last couple of years that has grown you. I think seeing the way that these songs, like it took a lot for us to put this record together, and a lot of honesty, a lot of searching within ourselves, and a lot of like perseverance. And so to see that not only come together but then be released was huge for us. And then the honesty that kind of comes through in some of these songs and some of the testimonies that go with them, I think is just a blessing to, like, for us, and has like fueled us, as well as like you can just kind of see that fire kind of start spreading, you know, in other places. So
yeah, I love that.
For sure.
Did you guys know when when that song came out, like that it was special, like as you were writing it? I mean, what's the story behind Scars, as far as you know, writing it and making, putting it together, putting it on the record? Yeah,
so me and Matt were actually, we've all, you know, gotten to write on the record and the songs, and we were actually started to sit down and write that song, I think even before, probably 3 different times, or 4 maybe, Matt. I can't remember how many times we actually sat down to write that song.
The hardest song to write.
Yeah, and so like the first couple sessions of writing, we kept gonna, like, the chorus just wasn't hitting, and you know, the first line, the first couple lines came real quick, and then we were like, okay, that sounds really cool. And I actually had to go back to Houston, and Matt finished up with a couple friends of ours, and you know, it kind of came from a place of all of us going through so much that year, and we had already gone through so much as a band individually, and you know, and as a band. And I think it just came from a place of despair and realizing that every single person goes through things that we may not have control over, and things that have impacted our lives, whether that's like an actual physical scar or an emotional scar, or something like that. And also just the realization that Jesus died on the cross, and his scars represent that sacrifice and love. And tying that into a song is absolutely incredible. And it was, you know, obviously it's not the first song in the history of songwriting that uses the word scars or the premise behind it. But I think being thankful for, you know, even what you were talking about a minute ago, like what are some of the things that have made you better or that you've grown? I think that when you talk about those scars, it doesn't represent a wound. It represents the healing of that thing. And so I think that's a huge thing to be able to not only talk about what we've gone through as humans, but as people, but as humans, like we're sounding a little funny, but as people, but also the gospel and the story of Jesus. So I think that's kind of where the song, I mean, for us comes from.
Yep. And I mean, it's resonating. It's doing well on radio. It's you guys have just released a music video for it. What was that? Just this week? Yesterday? Something like that?
A week and a half ago? Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. So you guys can find that, of course, on YouTube and on I Am Day's Facebook page. Now, musically, Abby, tell me a little bit about what your progression as a band. Like, obviously, you guys are. I mean, the sound between the first and the second record it's different. Like, you've definitely pushed into a new sound, and I'm sure as you guys are doing things now, you're continuing to to evolve. Sort of what are you guys playing with, experimenting with? How are you pushing yourselves musically?
Sure. Well, the sound of the second record was pretty different from the first, whereas first record had sort of an Americana acoustic instruments feel.
Yeah.
And I think we're all pretty much on the same page that you'll never hear an electric guitar, I don't know, in the album, although maybe. But as far as what the songs end up sounding like, it has a lot to do with who we write with and what producers we work with.
Sure.
For the record Trial and Triumph, we got to work with a lot of different producers. Ed Cash was one. David Leonard from All Sons and Daughters was one.
Yeah. Awesome.
And especially with David, it was a lot of fun to collaborate with him in the songwriting process. And the music that came out of that songwriting ended up having a little bit more of an electronic or sort of R&B beat sort of feel. And while that may not be the forward ending sound of the song, that's how it started. And so going into the next season, I honestly don't know what we'll sound like, but I'm excited to hear what happens just as a natural result of our collaborating with more people.
I think it
the
might
real
be
question
I think it might be a combination
go
between Fergie and Jesus, Abby.
That's our goal.
What?
We're in trouble.
The real question is, will the theremin be used on a future record?
Oh man,
Yeah.
We must find a way. You know what? We found a way to. We used Sarah. So Sarah and Justin are both kind of like coffee gurus, like magicians.
All right.
And they have like they grind their own coffee. And Sarah brings this grinder on the road with her, and we found a way to get the coffee grinder grinding beans. That is on a track in the record. We tracked that.
Really?
I believe it's on Near to Me, the song Near to Me, or it might be The Water.
So if you're wondering why a certain song just feels extra holy, that is why.
If you're feeling more energized by that song, it's because there's coffee.
You're getting fully caffeinated. What is
we can do a theremin for sure.
I think I mean like I think theremin with your vibe could be revolutionary. Talk about songwriting that you guys do. You know, there's obviously the three of you are very accomplished and have done your own things in your own right as individual singer-songwriters, and you come together to do this thing. What does songwriting look like when there's obviously you bring more people than just yourselves in on your songs, but what does that look like with the three of you as working as a unit?
It's interesting because even at the beginning of like when we first came to Nashville and stuff like that, there were all kinds of different people that we got to meet just in the process. Yeah. And so some of the time you'd walk into the room and you didn't even know these people or you hadn't heard their name before, and you got to meet them and write a song together.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was some of the case. And now, Abby and John, like sometimes like we kind of know like who we gel with or, friends that we've met along the way or that kind of thing, other artists or other writers or producers. And so it's kind of cool to be able to have fleshed some of that out and to go into rooms writing with people that we just love to be around, and that have a similar kind of pace as us. But it's crazy because they automatically kind of brings in, we usually come in with 2 to 3 people right off the go,
Yeah.
Add more people
right.
to the equation. It can be a little wild, but a
little messy. Yeah, but that's good. So what about your individual styles, the three of you as songwriters? Like how does that interplay sort of work between you guys?
Well, I think it's interesting, right? Because like we all sound totally different. Like I come from like more of like the kind of like, I guess, rock, R&B, hip hop sound, but I grew up listening to worship and stuff like that too. Matt's got his own vibe, Abby's got her own vibe, and so I think as a collective, it's definitely interesting to kind of see it all come together. Abby actually did a lot of some really cool keys type stuff on the record. Matt does some really incredible guitar stuff. I just yodel a lot, and so no, but I think it's
finally.
I think it's cool to kind of like, and each producer kind of pulls things out of you that you like you may not even know are there. Like Ed Cash is was one of my, growing up was like this guy. I was like, man, I can't wait. It would be amazing if I got to work with him. And then boom, we got to work with him. And I remember, every producer we worked with has been incredible. And just like Matt was saying, some of these guys, it's just a little more than others and, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be able to work with people that, kind of like take who you are and kind of accentuate that ability or whatever that style is. And so I think it's cool to have like that freedom to be able to kind of mix in your own ingredients and kind of, make something out of it.
Yeah,
that's good. I'm going to fly through some questions and comments from the peeps watching right now. Thank you for those. I will still be watching them. Amy just wants to say, can we just talk about how cool it is you guys toured Casting Crowns? What have those guys meant to you?
So funny story.
You know
Amy, I met Amy in 2008 when I moved to Nashville.
All right.
Yeah, I think we worked together at this barbecue joint called Calhoun's. Anyway, for me, honestly, like growing up, always, you hear Casting Crowns, they're like the Dave Matthews of Christian music, so dude, they are just as genuine on stage and off. And for me, they've all just not only just from stage but off stage spoken like into us as people. And it was incredible. We always, it doesn't matter what it is, all of us have a hero or in some way. And for me, those guys have always been like the pinnacle of what we do as artists in terms of the Christian music. And it was an absolute like honor to be on stage with those guys.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have spent a lot of time together, and that's cool. It's like that mentoring sort of relationship there. Just a comment here from Logan. This is I relate a lot to scars. I've been having depression, anxiety for 3 years, and it's helped me through life. Man, Logan, thanks for sharing that, and I'm glad that the song can to minister to you. Man, may God continue to bless you. Let's see. Eric wants to know, Ed Cash, what was that like? Woo! I don't know what he wants to know. Woo! What about Ed Cash?
Man, working with Ed Cash was really cool. That guy, I gotta tell you, he is the mastermind behind some of the biggest songs that you've ever heard in worship music and contemporary Christian music. So I think Matt and I walked into that writing session at Ed Cash's house not knowing what to expect. And Ed is not only a super generous, kind person, he's also a phenomenal musician, producer, and singer. In fact, he has one of my favorite voices I've ever heard. But that seems to be like what he does the least. But it's one of the things he does.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. All right. And Eric has a follow-up here. He says, I've honestly not heard the new record. Sounds like I need to listen. What song should I start with? Ooh. That's a good one to anyone wondering.
I'd say How Far We've Come would be a great start. That's like either that one or Feet for track me. One. But
that's why
track one, it kind of gets your blood flowing a little bit. The Water too. That's another just great song.
Yeah.
I think you should just name all of the songs.
So from
I just noticed somebody called me a parasite on the comments.
Yeah, they wondered if your outfit is a parasite.
How do you see the comments?
That is so funny. Oh. You click on the side.
I'll show them to you.
That's
Casey wants to know
parasite onesie.
Get that on eBay. All three of you guys, what's your favorite book in the Bible and why? Maybe one that you're camped out in right now.
Ooh.
Bam.
There he is. He's a cowboy parasite.
This is like turning into a strange sci-fi movie right now.
Superman right here.
Mine
awesome.
is probably going to be Psalms. I just find a lot of newness and kind of I guess breath when I read the Psalms and just think of songs. Obviously, when I'm reading those, but Matthew is definitely a favorite. Not our Matthew, but
thanks, John.
Oh, you're not a favorite. That's sad. What about you, Abby?
I would say I always find the book of John intriguing in the first passage where it's very poetic, and I find it an inspiring way to relate to the Bible and read to the Bible. Just hearing God talked about the Word, and the Word was and is, and just thinking about like all the different meanings and applications of that. And I think it's one of those books and passages you just kind of have to camp out in and really dig a little bit deeper to understand it. So I find that intriguing.
Yeah, awesome.
Matthew, don't say Matthew.
Matthew.
Of course it's Matthew. I mean, it's built into my identity. No, I really think that there's a lot of life verses for me in Matthew. I love the Gospels in general, but I was just reading Galatians again. I've been just kind of reading through that, just kind of even as a reminder for myself. Like there's just a lot of practicality, just talking about like the fruit of the Spirit and the fact that there's no law against that. And I think that there's a lot of distraction right now, even like you're talking about the State of the Union or whatever that's on now. There's a lot of just things that we can get sidetracked in.
Yeah.
And I think it's just great for us as Christians to unify around the things that, like, against these things there is no law. Just go after these things, and so I've been really encouraged by that, just to kind of try and like stay grounded and try not to get pulled in by my feelings, emotions, or whatever. Just kind of keep speaking truth to myself that way. So
awesome. And finally, John, this question from Mary is to you, she's a photographer as well. She wants to know what lens is on your camera.
Mary, I have the Canon 24-70. You can't really see it. Mark II. It's my go-to for just about anything. Yeah, it's my favorite lens I've ever bought, and it's very nice.
Very nice. Awesome. Well, what is coming up for you guys? I mean, obviously more touring. You said, this throwback worship thing is coming. What else? You guys working on a third album already? What is it, just like get on the road and start going crazy? What is 2019 looking like for you guys?
We're working on some I Am They figurines, maybe some bobblehead toys. And,
we are.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
We're pretty much constantly touring and performing. We have a couple weeks off right now, but come March, I think end of March, we're going to be opening up for Citizen Way for a couple weeks. Then
cool.
in May, we're going to Europe. I believe we're going to be in Amsterdam, Switzerland, Amsterdam for EO Youth Day, Switzerland for a festival, and then England for Big Church Day Out. And touring to a lot of festivals in the summer. So we're constantly on the move and playing everywhere we can.
Scotland.
And Scotland. I mean, I would imagine you guys are all constantly writing songs and taking stuff around. And what I mean, is it probably because of what's happening with Scars, and you guys release singles and this other thing, third album is not on the radar yet. I imagine you're still writing.
Yeah, I think you're echoing pretty bad, but I think at least for me, I think right now we have, not just because we have momentum with Scars, but I think there's so many other songs on the record that could potentially be singles. But I think we already have possibly some songwrites in the books. And so I think right now, I think the goal is going to be to focus on doing as much as we can with the current record and writing in the meantime and kind of seeing where the sales of this record take us, And by sales, I don't mean CD sales. I mean sales.
Like of a ship.
Those things.
Yeah. People are saying, is my audio any better? Or is it still weird?
Back to normal.
Okay, good. Thank you. So the final question, of course, what we want to always ask while we have you is, how can all of us be praying for you guys?
I really want my hair back.
That is the most unexpected answer to that question I've ever received, and I applaud you, sir. I applaud you.
Abby, you got any prayer requests?
Abby, what do you got?
We're really hoping for prayer for John, that he can one day answer a question non-sarcastically.
Oh, it's just the spice of life.
No, I'm kidding. Honestly, just energy, perseverance, enthusiasm for each of us as band members and everyone on our team to go into this next season. Life on the road, so to speak, can be draining and difficult. As exciting as it is, it can also be tough sometimes. So
yeah, totally.
I just ask for prayer for that.
And Matt, you're married, 2 babies. John, you guys, family?
That's all you had to say. Here's my prayer request.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
I do not have any wifey or babies. Neither.
Well, you still all represent, of course, communities and families and churches and stuff, and being away. I know going with you guys on roadshow just for a little bit, just got an ounce of what you guys have to go through. It is not glamour and cream puffs and velvet ropes and all those things. There's a lot of work, so we need to be praying for you guys. So let's do that now while we've got these guys. And if you're watching now or later, it all works the same. So let's do that. Well, Lord, just thank you so much for I Am Day. Thank you for the just the perseverance that they've shown, for the strength that you've given them, for the story that you've written in them and that you continue to write. Thank you that the songs that they're sharing come from a very real place of depending on you in good and bad times. And we thank you that honest, real message is resonating with people and drawing people to you and showing that they're not alone. And Lord, as they travel throughout the year and are constantly on the road, Lord, we just pray that you would give them that endurance, give them that attitude of excitement, of creativity, of gratefulness as they're out there, Lord. And at the same time, we pray for all the people that they represent, their communities, their families, and their loved ones and friends. And we just pray that as they're away, that there'd be divine purpose with them. Lord, we just also thank you so much for, in particular, the song "Scars" and the message that is really moving people as they process their own pains and process their own stories. Lord, we just ask that you'd continue to let that spread far and wide for your glory. And we are just so excited for what you are going to do next. We just pray for safety as they travel overseas, and for them to be able to be present in whatever situation you place them, whether it's at home, on the road, on the bus with crew. You've made them people that care about people, and we thank you for the witness that they give of you. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, thanks you guys. And Trial and Triumph, man. It's awesome. If you guys have not heard it, you have to get it where you do the music thing. Of course, now we get to keep an eye out for some throwback worship tunes, and I'm stoked. Is this like a month or less kind of a thing? Maybe?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Potentially,
awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful. And is it iamtheyband.com is the website?
That's it. Nailed
right.
it.
That's where you find out all the things, is at iamtheyband.com. There it is right there. Check it out and catch them on the road. Chances are, because they live there, they're going to come somewhere near you at some point soon. So, go to I Am They Band and figure out where they're going to be. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for taking the time out and, you know, and missing the State of the Union for me, really, and for these people. And appreciate, I love you guys. Love what you're about, and love seeing what God's doing with you guys. So, and
John, also appreciate your haircut. Thank you.
Yeah, solidarity, bros. Awesome.
Thanks, Marcus. It's good to talk.
Thank you guys. Yes, you too. All right, take care.
Thanks.
Hey, that is our show today, friends and family. We are back on Thursday, and we are going to, I'm so excited. It's Throwback Thursday. We're going to be talking with Davey Basinger of Bleach, like one of my old favorite rock bands, man. I'm so excited. And we're going to find out why they never had that comeback that they promised. You know, they promised. They said they were coming back. They had like a handle on Twitter called Bleach Lives and all this stuff. And we gotta figure that out. But regardless, we get to talk about 90s Christian alternative rock, and that makes me very excited. So please come back, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, right here. And or if you miss it, go to ccmmagazine.com and click that Live with Marcus tab. All right, you guys, that's what I've got. I will see you Thursday. Go check out the blog. Bye.